Glad to have you all here. Today we're going to be covering a little bit into time tracking, and then the rest of the call will be open for other Q&As. So with that being said, let's cover a couple of housekeeping pieces. So first and foremost, who the heck are we? So you may have heard of us in the community. You may be brand new into this and just heard about us from somebody that shared this link. So regardless of where you come to us from, we are Hughes and Strong. I'm the Hughes part, and we created this consulting business just because we are system nerds through and through, love everything about workflows, systems, how can we tweak a system to make it work for the people in front of us. So we specialize right now in double. So we get to be the librarians of all of the new features and playing around and finding the buttons. And that doesn't mean that we are experts, but that does mean that we have this as our full-time gig so that we can find fun workarounds, create a demo account, and feature things like this to dive a little bit deeper in case you haven't gotten to dive into a feature yourself. So with that being said, if you've been on one of these before, I apologize. I hope this is not a broken record, but for anybody that's new, want to make sure that these are all ideas for inspiration. None of this is to should on yourself, right? I think a lot of us already are coming in with a lot of pressure of I should be doing this in my business. I should be time tracking. I should be like looking at profitability for my clients, and I'm not even time tracking, so I can't do that, right? It just amps up. So this is a call where we're just going to drop the shoulds and we're going to talk about what you could do. And if you want to dabble into doubles time tracking, what that might look like, key things to know about it before you hop in, that sort of thing. So let's all drop our shoulders, just make sure not to put extra pressure on yourself. And if you realize, hey, this is something I really want to look into, but I cannot start this yet, I am way too deep in everything else, that's okay. Put it in your back pocket and come back to it when you're ready.
Yeah. Thanks, Erica. We welcome you to drop your questions into the chat at any point. So if you came on today and you are coming with a question about time tracking, go ahead and drop it in. If you have a question about anything else in Double, don't wait till the end. Go ahead and put it into the chat. So if you already have questions brewing, go ahead and drop them in. We monitor the chat throughout the presentation, and then we just go down the line, start to finish, to make sure that we get you answers to all of your questions. So don't hesitate, drop them in at any point. Today's recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel by Friday, and that recording also gets sent out via email to those who registered. And as Erica mentioned, today we're going to be focusing on time tracking, a little one-on-one on how it works, some common work streams that we've seen. We're going to show you where all of the buttons are to set it up if you're wanting to explore it. And then, of course, we're going to open up the Q&A to explore any feature that you're interested in, and explore how to utilize and optimize Double for your firm. Or if you have anything that you need to troubleshoot, you're welcome to do that on the call with us today too. All right, so with that, let's dive in. All right. So first and foremost, if you don't even see time tracking as available on your app there, go to your settings. So the little cog up in the top corner, click on that and go to your practice settings, and then look for time tracking. As you'll see here, it'll be below activity log. If you still don't see it, it may mean that you need to upgrade your service. It is not available on the Double Lite, so the lowest available option that they have, it's not on that. You need to at least be in Core for time tracking to become available. And if you're still not seeing it and you need to reach out to Double support, the super admin on your account will need to reach out to them to help get that turned on.
For sure. Always appreciate starting there because I went into one of our demos this morning and was like, I don't even see the button. So figured anybody else in that boat might need a little bit of a how-to as well.
Yeah. And then real quick, touching base on some important settings within that time tracking, in that practice settings. And we're going to show you how to get there in the demo at the end, but we wanted to give you some screenshots to start out here. So in there, you've got these basic settings. First and foremost, turn it on. If you want to use it, you got to turn it on, and then it'll be visible to your users. You can opt to have notifications turned on, and we'll show you what those look like. But what this does is it turns on like a pop-up reminder when you change screens or change pages, and it'll ask you if you want to start a timer or change your timer. But it kind of gives you that prompt, and it helps if you're like me and you forget to turn them on. That prompt always helps to keep me on track there. You can also do some restrictions. So you can restrict standard users from being able to edit their time entries. Admins have access to edit time entries for all users. But if you want to lock that down for standard users, you can do that. And then also you can lock by a timed date. So if you have everybody entering their time in, and then at the end of the month, you lock it so nobody can adjust it or make changes or add more time. Some people use this for payroll. So you can lock that down so it keeps it all the same. And then moving forward, they can continue to add and edit time until again, you come in here and edit the date that you want that to be locked to.
Yep, another important thing to understand is that admins can go in and see and edit and delete timers for all users, even if you lock standard users or regardless of whether
Yes.
you lock standard users or not. So that's always available to admins on the team. So just know that that restriction is, do you want the user themselves to be able to go edit the timer if, say, they left it on all night and forgot to go in? So you can kind of decide best practice there.
Yeah. All right, so those notifications that I mentioned, these are pop-up windows that lay over the top of whatever page you're on. When you first navigate from the client list into into a close page, into one of your clients, this pop-up will happen to prompt you to select a work stream, add notes, whatever it may be, and then start your timer. If you forget to stop the timer and you navigate to a different page, you will get one of these two notifications that says, hey, you switched clients. Do you want to switch your timer? Or you switched away from clients. Maybe you went back to the client page or client list, or maybe you went over to the tasks tab, or maybe you're doing some other kind of work in a different area of Double. Then it'll prompt you here and ask again if you want to switch your timer to something else or just end it. So I love those
Honestly,
reminders.
this has saved my butt way more times than I would like to admit as a human being. But massively helpful to have that reminder and that prompt if you do switch over to a different page, just having that pop up either when you initially start your client work, as a little bit of a habit trainer, for, hey, I clicked on this client page. Do you want to start a timer? Yes, most of the time I do, but I usually forget. And then if you switch pages, that prompting can really help on that side as well.
Yes. Yeah. Once you do have your timer started, the timer box or area in the top of the app is going to be green and you'll see that clock running. In addition to that, though, in your browser tab, you have a clock running here as well. So if you are tabbing through and doing different things, going to different apps, going to different places, if you have your tabs open like this, you'll still see that clock running. So you got two different places where you'll have that timer kind of a visual cue that it's running.
Okay, so work streams is a really common question when we start to dive into time tracking or start getting questions about it. So by default, if we don't edit anything, there are automatic work streams, or think about them as like time categories for the period that you're working on, right? So the close, the May close or the February close or something like that. There's plenty of people who just use that category. Everything feeds in, and that's the category that we use. So that's not a wrong way to do it. That's the default. Plenty of people use it like that. But we can go ahead and separate out or create additional work streams if we want to add more categories or differentiations so that we can do like different reporting on the backside or want to be able to monitor how long payroll takes for us or other things like that. So we're going to go through a couple of workstream examples now, in case you would like to go beyond just doing this closing period and adding a note on it. So within work streams, there are firm work streams and then there are client work streams. So firm, think about it as non-client related work or just general work that you're doing within your firm. You can get as specific as you would like in here, and I have not found the limit for work streams. You can create as many as you want. Just understand that you're going to have to scroll through them. So that can be your limiter there. But this could be things like admin, social media or marketing, sales, team meetings, working on your workflows and processes, things like that that are not specific to a client that I don't want to attribute to one single client. It's like for the firm as a whole. And then if we look at client work streams, this is another area that we can get a little bit more nuanced in. So if we do different services like AR, AP, payroll, sales tax, W-9s, we may want to categorize our time in those different work streams or buckets to be able to look at how long payroll is taking us or be able to see and kind of track over time if something is starting to take longer and longer and longer. So you can absolutely add these for different services or scopes that you offer. We can also do things like cleanups, or maybe we want to track our client communication and how long that's taking us, or onboarding. We can do, again, lots of different things here. Some people even separate out their weekly bookkeeping there at the bottom, apart from the closing work that we do at month end. So none of these are any that you have to create initially, but just to provide some context on what you might create categories around if you want to be able to separate out into different buckets.
Yeah. I kind of equate this to when you're building out a chart of accounts and you've got your parent account, and do you want everything to go into that main account, or do you need subcategories? Do you need to know all the nuanced details of how things are broken down? And just like every client's going to be different, every firm is going to be different. So please definitely use this as inspiration. If you're wanting to break it down into more detail, use your work streams to capture that detail. Otherwise, it's perfectly fine to use defaults or just use a few primary categories and use notes to capture more detail there if you wish.
That's a great example for the parent account and sub account. I think that's a really nice parallel for like, how do I want to think about this and categorize? And honestly, if in doubt, start with less, and then you can
Hmm.
always branch out and break out more if you need to.
Yes. And then to edit your time entries, there are two places this can be done. So the standard user, they're going to most likely just use the top one, and I'll show this when we open up our demo. But in either place that you go to access this table, from this table that's showing you all of your timers, you just simply click on that line and it'll show you what's editable. So you can change the date, the time, and then the number of hours automatically calculates based on your start and end. This is not one that you can come in here and say, okay, I worked for an hour and a half and just plug that in. You do have to enter in your start and finish times. You can edit the client, you can edit the work stream, you can mark it billable or uncheck it billable, you can add notes. Um, if you do anything with the start and end times here, it's going to show that it was edited on the side. So there is a column here for admin, for everybody to be able to see whether that timer has manually been um, edited or
Adjusted.
adjusted.
Mhm.
Yep. Um, and if you are an admin or a manager who has access to more than one user's timers, you're going to see that here. So there's ways to filter and all of that. If you accidentally start a timer and you're like, oh, I don't need it in here, there's also the ability to delete it. Um, and then if you forgot to add a timer, there is a way to click and manually enter in all of this information as well. So if you forgot to add it or you forgot to start it, you can come in and manually log that. Again, you can't just type in the number of hours. That is a feature request that is out there. But for now, we've got to add in the date and time.
And we'll show you exactly where to go to edit
Okay.
those and your options here in the demo here in a second.
And there is a way that you can export this information. We'll share that in the demo as well, but you can export it. They do now have two options for that. One is a rounded, I think it's to 2 decimal points, and then the other is not rounded. So it's a little bit more precise to, very specific timing. So use that for your preference, but that will export it into a CSV for you to be able to do
Go
whatever
into
you
your
need to with
payroll
it. Yeah,
software or do some more advanced number crunching or whatever you would like
yeah,
to with there. So it doesn't have to stay inside of Double. We can export that.
exactly. All right, let me switch over to our demo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and answer a quick question from Kate. So when we were talking about work streams, those are organized alphabetically, just like the templates are, right? So really good parallel there. This does mean that special characters, so your asterisk, your exclamation points come before alphabet, numbers come before alphabet, and emojis come before alphabet as well. So if you want to kind of get your own organization or create like a faux folder system, you could do something with a yellow emoji in front of all of these so they stack together, even if they're not alphabetical. So a little bit nerdy answer there. But Kate, if you're wanting to arrange those in a specific way outside of the alphabet, you most commonly is numbers or emojis in front.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other
Um,
questions before we kind of recap where we went through the slides?
yeah, not related to time trackers. So we'll circle
Okay.
back to another question, but go ahead.
Okay. So I'll try not to do this too fast, but comment in the chat if you need me to slow down. Because we just reviewed it. I just want to show you where in the system all of these buttons are. So to enable it, you're going to come up to your practice settings. That's that settings wheel in the top corner. Click there, and you're going to look for that time tracking here. This is where you have those basic settings, the general settings, to turn on, enable, turn off, whatever you want to. This is also where you're going to set up those work streams. So here's the list of client work streams. Once you've got them in there, you just click to edit. If you want to edit them, you can delete them over here on the side. Um, Firm work streams are next. And then the last piece that is in the settings here is a space where you can add your client rates if that's something that you're tracking in here. You also have the ability to add client rates from your timers tab in the system as well. If you choose to enable this time lock, then this is what's going to pop up and you get the option to select that date and even the time that that's going to lock. So anything prior to this period, nobody can edit. If it's after that period, it's fair game for being manipulated or adjusted if needed.
Exactly. And the most common use case that I see is that if you've already paid out that
Yeah.
period, maybe don't allow editing because we've already paid it out. So that may be, if you're wondering why you might use that, that may be your indicator there.
And then that brings us over to our timers tab. Actually, nope, I'm gonna stop. So up here at the very top is where you can start a timer if you're not in a client page. This is always available. So on any page, this is a locked part of the bar. It'll always be available at the top to click to start a timer. Right next to it is a place to view all of your timers. So a lot of people will just go to this, especially if it's just their own timers that they need to look at. So most standard users will use this. You can filter it. You can use this to filter by date. Here's another way to filter by date. You can check to see if you have an active timer going. Here's the export button here. There's lots that you can do. All of the tables have been getting those upgrades to be able to edit and arrange and move around.
Sort.
So it's a good table there. Let's see, you can also reset those filters if needed. Um, yeah. If you are an admin, if you're a manager, somebody who is helping to manage other team members, you need to have more visibility across more users, you're going to be coming over to your timers tab here at the top. From here, you will have, so admins and super admins will have access to every user in here. And then you can filter down if you want to see by specific person. Um, I believe managers, you can determine whether they have that. I think that's part of your settings here in manage users. Is I thought it was. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's only about the clients they have. Just going to touch base real quick. So here's one that they just added this quick button to see your own timers. So that's a new button that they just added to be able to filter this down just to your own if you're somebody who has lots of them.
And then really quick before we go to reporting,
Yeah,
let's just click on like start time or client. If you realize, oh, I logged that under the wrong client. A lot of people are looking for like a pencil icon. You just click in the
just
actual
click.
cell that you want to change. So just
It's
want to
kind,
make sure that that's like super abundantly
yeah,
clear.
it's kind of similar to when you're editing a transaction. In there. You just click into that area that you're wanting to edit. And if it's available, so like here, I can't click. It won't let me change that, but I can click here to edit time
Yeah.
and the date.
The other thing I want to
And
show
click.
while we're here, that's editing timers. The export is over on the right-hand side by reset filters. And then the add timer is up on the right-hand side as well. Jody, one update that I saw while I was in there dinking around this morning was if you go to add timer, you can choose a duration. So right here, you can enter in 2 hours or
Brand
you
new.
can toggle. I know,
Yeah.
brand new. So I wanted to mention that.
Yes.
If you are adding a timer after the fact and you're like, shoot, I don't know exactly when I started, but I know I worked on it for 35 minutes, then you can go in and edit that now or have that action outside of the start and end timers. So that was pretty fun.
Check it out. I
All
love
right.
it.
And then that change column that we were talking about
That's amazing.
shows these are not edited, this one is edited, and this one was added as opposed to like tracked using the start time. So quick column there, but can be really helpful to just see over time what was adjusted and what was not, which is really nice for kind of managerial roles here. Okay, so with that, I just want to make sure that that was added in there for everybody that needed it. The other thing I think is worth noting, reporting can be its own rabbit hole itself. So use with caution. Some people just use timers. That's all. I really don't use reporting. I don't use anything past it. I keep track of time here in Double because that's where all of my tasks are. So it makes sense to have that all in one system. And then I just export it out to Gusto, to QBO, to whatever. Okay, so you can stop there. You can go in and add like your employee rate, how much you're paying per employee or employees per hour, and add like your client rate to be able to do some reporting for effective hourly rate and stuff like that using the timers that you have. So you can go one step deeper, but I want to let everybody have permission to pause there. If you're like, yeah, I would love to get to that point where I'm looking at my effective hourly rate, but I'm not there. I'm barely using timers. That's okay. You can stop there and just use this. It can be one of those that grows with you. So at least wanted to give permission there.
All right.
Perfect. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to add here. We talked about those work streams being added alphabetically. We talked about that reporting, or if you go into timers and then settings, that's where you can enter in your different rates for clients and employees. The other thing I wanted to cover really quickly that just to add visibility is Jody, you did a great job about on like the client list and on this page, you can hit start timer. Let's go into a client page to see what that pop-up looks like or how to start a timer on that page. And then I have one more sneaky place that you can start a timer that I found yesterday. So I want to highlight that as well. Okay, so if we click into a client, if you have that pop-up notification enabled, then it will pop it up right immediately as you pop on that page, and it will automatically fill in client and work stream. You can edit that, right? It's going to default to the close period that you're working on, but then you can go in and change that category or work stream, add any notes, mark it as billable, or switch over to firm work if you're just using that as a reference page. So lots of different options there with the actual pop-up. Now, if you don't have that pop-up or notification enabled, that's still going to be up there on the right-hand side, start timer. So you can do that at any point, even if you don't have the pop-ups enabled. That's a really common question that I get. If people are like, I don't want the pop-up, it's driving me crazy, you can still go up and start it from the beginning, or using that little start timer in the top right. Okay, and then to stop a timer, you just click on it to stop, just like that. Thanks for the demo there. And then the other sneaky place that I wanted to highlight that I found yesterday is, Jody, do you mind going to our task list? So if we're working off of our due today or due this week, and so let's go ahead and actually show that. So from all, let's filter down to due this week. And then if you're using this as your list and you start task or you click on like run payroll in ADP, then you actually have a start timer up at the top there to actually start it, and it auto fills in the client and the close period that you're on. So that's another one that I found that I was like, hey, this is one that I use quite a bit where I'll just pull up my task list, go down the line from there because it ticks off in my brain a little bit at a time and shows my progress. I can go to the client page if I need to, but you can even start a timer from this, which I thought was a really cool, fun addition there.
And if you click on a
Exactly.
different client, it's going to ask you if you want to switch or end the previous timer. So that timer was set up for Mountain Landscape. This one's like, oh, it's a different client. Let's switch over to that client and you can start the timer. So that's
Right.
a
I
good
found that
hack
really
there.
nifty. It's very nerdy,
Yes.
but in the weeds, and that's what you're here for, is all the little things that you're like, hey, did you know you could also do this? So fun fact for the day, you can also start it from the tasks if that's the page that you're normally working off of. Okay, with that being said, anything else that you think we're missing from timers? I don't think so.
I don't know, it just made my day that we highlighted two new features that haven't been widely known. I love that.
Right. Okay. So from here, let us know if you have any questions, timer related, non-timer related, throw it in the chat. Otherwise, let's kind of circle back around to a question that Sean had. So off timers, obviously we can go back if we need to. So are essentially the question is inside of a comment. So if you're using that in chat feature to collaborate between team members, why can't you add an attachment? So you can drop in well, Jody, fact check me. You can drop in an image if you need to.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Like a screenshot or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. And we
Yeah.
can add a link if you had like a link to a PDF or something like
Yes.
that. But right now you're not missing anything, Sean. There's not an attachment button here. That is a relatively new feature request though. So what I'll do is in the chat, I will drop in the feature request. Best practice on feature requests is to go in, log in, and upvote it. The team works off of visibility, right? So the more upvotes, the more likely it is to be worked on. And then if you upvote, you also are notified when that feature like gets updated and stuff like that too. So kind of two birds with one stone, but I'll go ahead and add the
I'm
feature
trying to find a
request here.
PDF. I'm trying to find a PDF because you can click on this camera button and let's just grab a random. Okay, there's nothing. So maybe it is. It's only pictures. because I have PDFs in all of these folders and it's not. Yep, it's only going to let you to upload a picture, not a file. It's a
Which
good
is
test
one step
there.
better, because you
Right.
can add a screenshot now, but still missing the functionality to be able to add an actual PDF there. So,
Yeah.
um, you,
And the only workaround would
yeah,
be to attach it to the task. If you're commenting on a task, that would be the only workaround is to comment, see attachment on task, blah blah blah. That's not
yeah,
a
that is
great
a solid.
workaround, but
Yeah, that's at least something for sure. Um, So, Sean, just wanted to confirm you're not missing anything. That one's limited
right.
functionality there. We can
Yep.
attach it to an actual task and then mention that team member to go look at that task attachment. But definitely one to upvote for sure. That would make things a lot easier. Okay, next up, Miss Deb. So document management is driving you crazy. Any insights on updates coming? So that is one that Jody, correct me if you have any other insights. I have not heard anything coming down the pipeline, but sometimes we can be a little bit out of the loop. So I haven't heard anything as far as document management or files go, other than I did see that you can pin an attachment or pin a comment if you want that to stick with the task instead of once it recurs, then you lose that attachment. So that's the only thing that I've seen. I have not heard any murmurings behind the scenes. But Jody, have you? Just want to make
I
sure.
have not. No.
Okay. Um, for anybody that would like a little bit more insight on what we're talking about, let's go into Growth Custom really quickly and show files. So this is doubles in software document management. So you can go up here to files. There is
Loading.
an
Hang on. We go.
okay, I was gonna say slow screen. So down at the bottom, you have auto organized folders. So that's just Double's automatic way of filing things depending on where that file was attached. So whether it was a client question or whether it was attached to a task in a closing section. So most of us, this is not our favorite. So if most users that I see that are using Double's file system go and create their own custom folders up top. So this is where we can create our own folders, subfolders, anything that we need. Um, my sneaky little hack for this, if you are using this, is to create the file structure that you want once in a sample client or in your own business, and then copy that folder structure to any of your other clients or a new client that you're onboarding. There's a really easy way right now in Double's features to go in and like set this as your template, and then any new clients have this folder structure. That would be amazing. I'm pretty sure there's a feature request out there for that, but in the meantime, that's the workaround that I've found, is to create that in a sample client and then copy that folder structure, and then you can adjust like what account one is on this example under 2025 or something like that. So it is not the most extravagant file management. One step beyond the auto organized, if that's driving you crazy, Deb, is to create your own custom folders. And then if part of your issue that you're running into is that you can't create a template, create that in a sample client and then copy that folder structure.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally understand. Deb mentioned that it's the like moving and renaming of files, and that can be a little bit clunky with current
Yes.
functionality. So there's definitely feature requests out there for being able to rename or move in bulk and kind of even make things visible in bulk rather than individually per file. So
Yes.
definitely more to come. I've not heard anything in the pipeline, but that doesn't mean that there isn't anything. I'm just not privy to it.
Yeah. Same.
Okay, next question from Sean. While we're on folders and file structures, let me skim really quickly. Ooh, good question here, Sean. So It was asking about the ability to like roll a file structure forward. So essentially like where we have 2025 creating 2026 and like not messing with the rest of the folder structure. Full transparency, that is not something that I've played with yet. I wonder if you would be able to go into your folder structure in your sample client and in addition to 2025 create a 2026 underneath and if it would stack or if it would override. So that would be my first test, but I have not done that personally to figure out what that looks like. It does override is what Sean's saying. Oh, bummer. Okay, then yep, definitely a feature request to be able to add into that or roll that forward or something like that. Yeah. Alrighty. I know, big sad face from here as
Yeah.
well. Definitely an
Yeah.
area that I am excited to see get a little bit more updated. So
Yes.
in the meantime, let's go ahead and cover a couple of other quick features that I've seen get rolled out in the last couple of weeks that you may not have known about. Feel free to keep popping questions into the chat in the meantime, and then I'll find a couple of feature requests about. Okay, so Jody, do you mind showing us how we can now turn a incoming client question for us into a
Yes.
task? So I have an
Yeah.
example in custom task, but feel free to give a little bit of a fun demo. This is one that has been
Yeah.
coming down the pipeline for a while, and I think this functionality is going to get rolled out to more things, but at least in the meantime, this is massive. So I wanted to make sure we highlight this.
Yep. We're here in the client questions, opening up our portal here. Um, Questions from our client that get sent to us. We already started this, so you can see there's already one linked here. But if you have a new request come in, you just click up here to add task, this lovely button. And you can select the client. So you can even change the client if need be, if they send it in the wrong portal, pass that over. But you can decide where you want that. Is it a custom task? Is it going into the closing section? Which close? Um, if you're tax return, you can do that one as well. You can add in a description here, edit what the title is going to be. Again, pick that section, and then you can create and save that task. Once you have it, the client question is attached to it. So they're linked. If you are familiar with the double email setup, it's very similar type structure where it's all linked. So from the close page, under our custom tasks, we have it right here. You can clearly see that there's a client question attached to that, and you can open it up. You can even answer it right here and send that off. So this allows you to kind of delegate out if somebody else is going to help you answer these questions, or if it's going to take some time and some research or some work to be able to get that answer to your client, create that task here to keep it on your radar, give yourself that due date, whatever you need to do to be able to complete that task. And then from right here, you can respond to your client and then mark that task as complete.
This one was one of those that I did a little happy dance because I know there's plenty of us that once those client questions come in, it usually is a report or is something that we have to go do before we can just resolve
Yeah.
it. So being able to turn that into a task and either assign it to another team member or assign it for later in the week when I'm swamped today or when I know I have more space, massive to be able to go back and complete that work or like I said, delegate it off. So was really
Yeah.
excited to see that.
What I wanted to show here was that this is only on communications on this tab, questions from the client. So our non-transaction questions, it's not available here. I know that there's a feature request out there for that because people are like, well, wait a minute. If we have the ability there, can we have it here as well? Because there are other use cases where that would come in handy. But for right now, it is only on the questions from the client. So anything coming in inbound we can then create a task for ourselves to help with that.
Okay, ready for the next one, Jody?
Yeah, bring it on.
Okay. So any we have a handful of people who have a certain generation of clients who are having a hard time grappling with the portal. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in a help article that the Double Team has created specifically for clients about an intro to the portal, but wanted to just open up both of our brains for any like tips, tricks that we've found. I'll start. One of the things that I have found being a frustration level, some people love it, some people don't, is that magic link. And especially if clients are used to being able to just like save a password, put it in their password
Yes.
manager, hit autofill, then the magic link can break brains or go to spam and be extra annoying and be one of those friction
Yeah.
points. So in your practice settings, you can, well, two things. One, you can update your default in the practice settings if you have a whole lot of clients like that. And that's one of the things that you're hearing most often is that you can update your default. The other thing is to show clients how to actually log in with the password personally. I am one of those fuddy duddies who does not like the magic link. My young brain, but or young body, old granny brain when it comes to technology. So that is one of those that you can update here in your settings if that's one of those that you're seeing. Um, Beyond that, Jody, do you have any tips and tricks that you've come across working with clients?
Well, first I want to back up just a hair and show where that is, that setting.
Yeah.
So practice settings, client portal. This is going to be under branding. And here's your default client login, and you can choose sign in with Magic Link as a default or sign in with the email. If they prefer the other way, they will have that option to select it. We've got our demo here set up as default to email and or default to the password. Right here, they can choose, like, I don't remember my password. I want the magic link. They can choose to click on that here. Another thing to help with just the sign-in process that we have shown here is this announcement that shows, hey, here's a resource on how to log in. If you don't like doing this on the computer, hey, there's a way to do this on your phone. Here's the link for the app to download it. Or if you're on your phone and you don't want to go through your browser on your phone, click these links and download that. So having like just quick resources here to help alleviate some of the questions that come your way can be very helpful. If you have it flipped the other way, where you've got the sign in with Magic Link set up, then the option to sign in with your password is down below. So, regardless of what you choose as the default, your clients will always have the other option available to them. So, that's just going to be a little bit of training your clients and letting them know.
Yeah.
Once you've got them in the portal, sometimes taking the time to do a little demo with them can be helpful, or record a video that shows them their exact login, their exact portal. And the best way to do that is from your page here, coming up to the portal settings for that client, and then pick that particular contact. So maybe we're having a message with Frank and Frank's just not getting it. I can say, okay, Frank, here we go. Ready? We're going to go into your portal. You click that preview button, and this is his exact view. I actually had to do this not too long ago for a client who was like, I've answered all my questions. What are you talking about? Why do I keep getting reminders that I have things open? And we were able to open this up and be like, no, like there are spaces in here. And it could have just been that they didn't want to log in. I don't remember the exact reason, but we were able to record a video for them showing them, hey, when you log in, there's a place here where it's telling you that we need action from you. There's icons above that are showing that. And don't forget, we've got resources here for you. And it's an easy way to be able to walk them through. Also,
The other thing,
oh, go ahead,
oh,
Erica.
I was going to say the other thing I really like about being able to shoot a video, even if whether you do this specifically for a client that's having a hard time and you do a little screenshot, you shoot a video, or if you create a generalized, hey, here's everything you need to know about the client portal and you use your own business, or a sample client or something like that, I like to show how if they have multiple entities, go up to the top right corner. You don't have to log out and log back in. If you have multiple entities, just click on this and toggle between, and there'll be a number up there if you have questions that need to be answered. So that one that I really like to highlight because that can be a really sticky point if
Yeah.
if that's being weird or they're
There's
not sure
also a
how to do that.
banner. There's also a banner. So like if I switch and there's something in a different organization that needs help, like there'll be a banner up here at the top, and then it'll give you that button to click and toggle between them as well. The other thing I was going to note is when Double released the new feature of interactive financials, that was another opportunity where we ended up recording a number of videos to walk clients through that new setting. So being able to come over here to financials and showing them, hey, here's where you can view this if you have, and like just walking them through how they can use this on their own to be able to get more in depth and more detail about it. And of course, if they just wanted their usual PDFs, that's also there, but showing them like, hey, here's a new thing that we rolled out in the portal. Go ahead and give it a, explore it and see how it works for you. So those, I'm hoping we answered the question. A lot of it is patience with the client and maybe even asking or opening up that communication to find out what
What they're
is
having the
the,
biggest issue with.
yes, where the resistance is coming in, and then maybe putting your heads together and brainstorming ways to resolve that or overcome whatever the resistance might be. um, that's the last bit of advice I've got, is just that open communication of finding out what's at the root of the issue of not being able to get in here and answer the questions.
For sure. And sometimes that takes like viewing it from their perspective or going a little bit deeper about why that is an issue, right? Because it might on the surface be, I don't want to take the time to log in. I just want to email you about this or fill it in a sheet. And the true answer behind that for them is, yeah, Frank, but that's not secure, man. I don't want all of your transactions. Like you're paying me to make sure that this is secure and that your info isn't getting hacked everywhere. This is the way that I can make sure that all of that in the same portal for you with your financials so you can go in on your own time. So I think a lot of it is client training, unfortunately or fortunately, and really digging into the root and sharing the why, both from your perspective and theirs. So, Shauna, if that's a longer answer, but definitely one of those to like hold the community, get a little bit creative, and if nothing else, shoot us an email and we can kind of help troubleshoot for you
Yeah.
specifically. Okay. Sean, really nice mention. Time tracking category may need client training time or client call. It's a really funny one. So funny. Good call out there, friend. Okay, we've got a couple more questions. So let's quickly, Jody, do you mind just doing one quick switch to our slides and just going to the very
Yeah.
last one? Um, Short and sweet, just to make sure that anybody else that's getting caught on stuff on time tracking or in other areas of double, we do offer full comprehensive support. So reach out to us at hughesandstrong.com/contact. If you do want to get in touch with us and figure out what services we offer, we do everything from team training all the way to full hands-on support and anything in between. So just wanted to make a call out because some people hop on these and they're like, oh man, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what I need help with. And there's like so many things that I need to get better at in double or I want, like I should get better at. So reach out to us. We're happy to shoot you in the right direction or get you some free resources if that's a better fit. So want to make sure that that was in there for anybody that needs to log off. But in the last 7 minutes that we have, let's bang through some other questions.
Okay.
All righty.
Rapid fire. Go.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Um, let's go back here. Quick mention, Kate has in her client portal announcement a quick explainer video or a quick how-to guide. So that is a really good use of that announcement, either on the login page or once you actually get into the portal. So really great
And
call
you
out
can
there,
find
Kate.
that here. So
Yeah.
client portal announcements. This is where you can build those out or add things in.
Yeah, great mention there, Kate. Okay, question on inbox. We use the firm inbox, but never the individual or like the personal inboxes. Can we hide the section that says your or my inbox? Not that I'm aware of. I don't think that
Not that
you're
I'm
missing
aware of
anything,
either.
Kate.
Yeah,
That's definitely a really good feature request. Because if that's not enabled, I would rather not see the button. And I'm right there
exactly.
with you. That's one of my sticking points with the inbox as well. So definitely a feature request to either go look for and upvote or add if it's not there. I'll look
Yeah,
here in just a minute, but you're not missing anything at least.
exactly.
Okay, next one from Jared. Um, New here, what do I need to know about 1099 tracking in Double, and how is it better than filling filing in QBO? You're totally good for asking a broad question, so no need to say sorry or forgive you. I think the biggest thing to understand, big broad concept wise, is Double is not for filing 1099s. Okay, really big note here. The best way to think about this is a way to organize and send requests for those that you're going to need a W-9 for. So
Yeah.
this replaces our spreadsheet that we've usually had to have to pull everything from QBO, organize it in a spreadsheet. Have I sent the request? Have I followed up? What do I need to gather? That is the best way to think about this broad concept. And then there is the ability to export into Track 1099 or export into a different system to actually file. So wanted to make sure that big, broad concept is understood for
Mhm.
what's the use case here. Now, Jody, I'll let you go fill in any
Yeah.
details
I
that you want
mean,
to.
full transparency, I do not have personal experience with going in depth in QBO and using their 99 feature. I know they have a button on my vendors where I can check 1099 tracking. I have personally have not had extensive experience using it in there. Um, I have in the past just done a lot of report pulling from QBO and digging through transactions and just report after report after report. That's what I remember doing. Could be I was using it wrong in QBO, to put that fairly, but in Double, it is I like the way that it presents. It's automatically only showing you the people who have hit the threshold. And you'll see that thresholds are changing for 2026. They've already implemented that here in the system. So it's only what meets my threshold. It's already excluding things that I know that I don't need to include, like credit card spend. So it's giving me that year-to-date total. I can drill down at the vendor level into all of those transactions quickly. I can update things quickly. Um, I think that drilling down in any capacity, not just 1099s, but in anything for working on the books, going into a vendor, going into transactions, accounts, just anything where I'm having to drill down and get back out quickly. I've always found that to be easier and faster in Double than it has been for me in QBO. Um, but also within here, like that's one piece of it. But you can also keep track of like the entity and all of this stuff exports out, like she said. But you can ask your client for more details. And then you've got a vendor request feature in here so that if you have the vendor's email address, you can take the client out of being the middleman and go directly to that vendor and request that W-9 information to be able to make sure it's up to date, make sure you have the right information, get confirmation that they'll accept an e-filing. All of that is built in here. So I've heard from time and time again that this has helped streamline. The last key thing I will mention is that Double has this built into your month end close, or if it's quarterly, your quarterly close. So your close period It's built in here so that you're reviewing it little by little by little all throughout the year. So come January, fingers crossed, all you have to do is hit export and file. And you're not spending all of January trying to chase. I think that's like the key piece for me. I'm sure you could do something similar in QBO. I'm sure you can. But having it here built in as a default task to review this, and you'll see a new person or a new vendor pop up the moment they hit that threshold. So I just, yeah, that's my 2 cents or 20 cents.
I'll make it 25 and add one more piece that I've heard within the prepare 1099s. Um, I really like the ability to take um, that client out of being the middleman and being able to ask as soon as they meet the threshold. Those are a couple of things
Yeah.
that I really want to anchor into, because as soon as you have that email, you get to email the vendor. If you want, you can still have that on the client and give them a link where they can upload it and stuff like that. So you can. Um, and I really appreciate that, honestly, just making sure that I'm not bugging my clients about the thing that the vendor just hasn't gotten back to. I like that when it meets the threshold, it shows up here, because that means that I don't have to wait until the holidays to be like, hey, we need something from you from a transaction from February. I hope you don't think this is a scam, and I hope you still remember that my client came to you, right? Like, it's the ability
Yeah.
to proactively work on some of those things, to keep this all in a spreadsheet that auto updates from all of your info within the accounting software, and that allows us to do some of that functionality and bridge off of that secure client portal or secure W9 link. So I think that's a lot of a messy version of that answer, but those are some of the things that lead up to us, at least personally, really liking the prepare 1099s here inside of Double.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, friends. Well, Jody has a sick kiddo and I've got to jump for today. So we got through all of our questions. Woohoo. Past that, definitely reach out to us. Either shoot us an email or use that contact link if you have more questions, want to learn more about Double, need help setting it up, anything from here. But other than that, like I said, recording will be uploaded on Friday in case you missed anything. And the next one will be about settings that you don't want to miss. There's a lot of stuff that has come into our practice settings that you may or may not know is something you can edit and adjust now. So that's what we're going to be covering next month. But until then, we hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful rest of your March.
Thanks, everyone.